New videos every day.
Hi, I'm Radhia. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist at Austin Integrative Medicine here in Austin. Well, I'm back. Somebody asked me a few days ago, Radhia, give me 3 rules to go by to change my life for the better to help my health and well-being. So the first one was detoxification. The second one was stick to foods closest to the way Mother Nature gave them, grew them. And the third is don't worry, be happy. Now, Bob Marley had a lot to say when he wrote that song, and I really want to make this a rule of thumb. And I don't mean to be flippant about this. Don't worry, be happy. Like la la la, stick your head in the sand. That's not what it's all about. It's literally about your thoughts and how important your thoughts are. Not only in co-creating your world, and if you've ever seen the movie What the Bleep, then you'll understand what I'm talking about of how we co-create our world. And if you haven't, definitely see What the Bleep. It will tell you a lot. And then all of a sudden, the sequel to it, Down the Rabbit Hole, which is a very cool film. But it really, our psychological and our emotional well-being definitely affects us physically. So our thoughts have a lot to do with that. And if you think that your thoughts don't affect how your body is and how your health is, think again. Because the interesting thing is, we've heard about stress. We've heard about it for the last 2 decades, 3 almost now. Stress has been the big buzzword in all of the medical community. Whenever they don't have an answer for something, they say, well, it's stress, and that becomes frustrating sometimes because you go, well, that's such a catch-all phrase. I mean, stress, yeah, our world is stressful. We've got wars going on. Just getting across town is stressful. So what can I do about my stress, and what can I do about my feelings? Well, it's really important that you start to get a grip on your feelings and start to get a grip on what you're focusing on. Because we have a tendency, and Mike and I were talking before about what draws people to the internet and what draws people to television and the media, and oftentimes it's violence and it's negativity. And that's a phenomenon. I don't know about that craziness with human beings, but, we're drawn to negativity and we like milking negativity. So what I'm saying to you is if you want to change your health and well-being, you've got to start changing your thoughts. And that means, for example, instead of focusing on war, focus on peace. All right? Now, it may be the same subject. You're not sticking your head in the sand. But you want to focus on the outcome that you want, not the outcome that you don't want. Because the more we focus on the outcome that we don't want, of course, yes, so be it. The old saying, what you resist persists. Well, that happens in reality. But also what it does to us physiologically is really important to understand. Stress it's not just all in your head, as many doctors think, it's just in your head. That's kind of insulting because you have real physical manifestation going on, and you're going, but doc, this isn't just in my head. Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, all of these autoimmune diseases that we're seeing, pain and even cancer, has a lot to do with how we think, believe it or not. And I'll tell you why. Of course, our reality and our emotions are based on how we perceive our world. And how we perceive our world certainly is different with each individual. For example, a person who may think it's the most exciting, most thrilling and fun thing in the world to jump out of an airplane, whereas another person, the most terrifying and most fearful thing to do is even sit in an airplane on the runway. So it really depends. There's 2 people, same situation. One finds it thrilling and fun and exciting, and the other, and exhilarating. The other finds it terrifying. And what happens to that person who's sitting in the airplane and they're afraid of flying? Well, they're having a physical response to something that hasn't even happened yet. What they're doing is projecting out there that, oh my God, what happens if this plane crashes? So they've already in their mind, they've set up a catastrophe. Well, what happens with their body when they're doing that, and you can ask anybody who's afraid of flying, is they're sitting in the airplane and their palms are starting to sweat, their heart is beating, and this is called sympathetic dominance. Now, it's really important to understand that in the brain, the hypothalamus in the brain, which is, it's that gland that basically perceives our environment and then sends chemical messengers called hormones to all of our organs to respond to its perception, right? So what happens? Well, if you think that it isn't all in your mind, I'll give you a little exercise to do. Close your eyes and think of taking out a lemon and slicing a big slice of lemon, and take that lemon, put it in your mouth, suck on it, swish that lemon juice around in your mouth and swallow it. All right. Now, if you're like me, of course, I know you are, you're salivating, right? Even the thought of swishing that lemon juice around in your mouth causes a physical response. So the hypothalamus doesn't know the difference between reality and thought. Why is this a problem with human beings? I mean, our whole body is designed to respond to its outside stimulus and respond to stress. So we have different systems. We have a sympathetic dominance and a parasympathetic dominance. But let me give you an example. Imagine a deer out in the forest, and the deer's there grazing. So he's in what we call parasympathetic dominance. So this really is another word for rest and digest mode. Okay, he's eating his clover, and the sun is shining, and the birds are singing, and he's smelling the flowers, and everything is beautiful and copacetic. So what's happening in him inside? Well, first of all, his heart is beating at a normal rate. He's breathing at a normal rate. All of the sphincters in his entire alimentary system, which is his digestion, is all open, ready to receive and do that process. All the blood is flowing towards the stomach, and gastric juices are all flowing there, and everything's working out fine. Suddenly, a mountain lion comes out of the forest, and what happens? He immediately shifts from parasympathetic to sympathetic dominance. This is called a fight or flight mechanism. Suddenly, all the sphincters in the digestion system stop or close up. Basically, it's not time to be digesting. It's time to take all that blood away from the digestion tract and send it to the extremities so that it can either fight or flight. When that blood is pumped, the heart is raised, we start breathing heavier, which puts oxygen into the system, carrying oxygen and nutrients to the extremities, so he has the ability to fight or flight. So he runs out of the way, and he's saved. He gets away from the lion. But what happens to the deer, as opposed to what happens to you and I, because we have such a sophisticated imagination, if you will, as opposed to the deer, once he gets out of the way, he eventually calms down, he forgets about what happens, and he can go back to grazing and turning his system back into parasympathetic rest and digest. The difference between the deer, Bambi, and you and I is where our imagination takes us on a journey. And so all of a sudden we're out of danger, but in our minds we keep feeding that possibility. You don't hear the deer going, "Oh my God, what'll happen if he comes back? And what about my children? And what if he had eaten me? Where would my offspring have gone? And where am I going to live? And what's going to happen if all of us?" And he goes to all his little deer friends and he says, "Oh, you can't believe what happened to me last week. I had this lion," and he tells the story over and over again, and they listen to the story and they're thinking, "Oh my God, what if that happens to me?" etc., etc. And the next thing you know, hypothalamus doesn't know the difference between reality and thought, and they're actually having a physical response to a thought. So here we are, very creative and imaginative human beings, and we love a drama. And we look at Hollywood. I mean, my God, we run to the theaters, and the more dramatic it is, and the more scary it is, or the more it stimulates our imagination of what could happen and what are the possibilities, the more we get excited about it, but also the more we have this constant stimulus, and usually it's negative stimulus. So we're in a chronic fight or flight stage. Now, I have to say that being in a chronic fight or flight stage and not being able to move into that rest and digest stage will affect our entire body. So therefore our digestion system becomes compromised, our immune system becomes compromised, our emotional and neurotransmitter and nervous system becomes compromised, we become weaker, eventually become diseased and die. So it's really important what we do with our thoughts. So don't worry, be happy. Think of your outcome. Think of what you want, not what's happening in front of you. If war is happening, think of peace and think of peaceful thoughts. Put your intention where you want it. Think of joy and happiness and whatever makes you happy. If it's petting your cat, if it's going and playing with your children, if it's doing anything that's going to bring joy to you, if it's going to take your worries away, then do it. It doesn't mean stick your head in the sand. It just means change your focus to something that you want, an outcome that is happy, that is blissful, that is grateful, and keep focusing on that. If you're in a disease state, don't focus on the disease. Focus on the wellness. Even if there's only one little portion of your body that feels good, that isn't in pain, focus on how good that feels and be grateful for that. And try not to talk to all your friends and family about your dramas and about your pain and about the pain and suffering of the world and what we've got to be afraid of. Because as you do, your body responds to this. So don't worry, be happy. That is the next thing I would say. If you want to change your life, then change your mind. Because remember this, you may not be able to control what's going on around you, but you can control how you feel about it. So find a better feeling. If you want to know more about this, there are different books out. Eckhart Tolle right now has got a beautiful book. And Oprah is doing a special with Eckhart Tolle. Also Abraham Hicks. There's a lot of inspirational books out there. Go find things that make you happy, that give you joy. More information on this and other things, you can visit my website, which is www.advancedhealthinstitute. Please visit me at Austin Integrative Medicine if you're in Austin, or go to AIMMD.com and see more about what our clinic is about. And make sure that you sign up. I'm looking for friends, and make sure you comment about if you like this video and you want more, make comments. I love to talk to you. I'd love to get your feedback. Please let me know, and please sign up to be a part of our continuing websites. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.